Okay, so I've got a bit of a different sort of a vlog for you today. I had the opportunity to do something over the weekend that is actually really similar to something I often use as an example when I'm teaching Qigong workshops or even sometimes in classes, when we're talking about emotions and about what an emotion is. And also how we can control or interpret and direct the energy from our emotions. And so so the example that I often use in those workshops is if you go to the edge of a cliff, if you're scared of heights, generally your response is to be, well, scared, to have fear. On the other hand, if you go to the edge of that cliff and you're a base jumper, someone who jumps off tall things and enjoys it, well, generally you're excited about that. But inside, the physiological response is the same, and we just interpret it differently. So over the weekend, I had a chance to go skydiving. So it wasn't jumping off a cliff, it was jumping out of a plane, but it was a lot of fun. And I thought, wow, this is a great opportunity to talk about emotions. Now, I was really lucky that this was actually in honor of a friend of mine, of Ryan's birthday, and he was really good and talked to me a little bit about what he was feeling as part of the jumps. So you can take a look at that now. So how are you feeling, Ryan?
I'm feeling awful. I'm feeling so many emotions just floating around in my chest at the moment. I don't know quite which one to grab onto.
So what would some of those be?
Like anxiety is high.
Yeah.
I strangely feel frustrated.
Frustrated, interesting.
Yeah. I think frustration and the fact that I'm so used to being on top of my own thinking, but it's just sort of running chaos up there at the moment.
Yeah.
What else do I feel? Fear, definitely fear.
Yeah. Excitement as well.
Excitement is high.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to. I think my brain is trying to feel what I'll feel after.
Yeah.
This has happened already.
Sort of future pacing it.
Yeah. So sort of I'm feeling the future happiness and joy of having done it. But that's quite weak relatively to the fear. Yeah, so it's not really. It's not outdoing the anxiety. Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, maybe we'll ask you again afterwards. Eh?
Yeah. It'll be very interesting to see. It's quite a good thing to like look inward and be like, what are you feeling? But it's a mix. It's a whole mix. It's almost like a overwhelming mix.
Well, maybe physically, what do you feel?
Physically, sweaty palms. My palms are sweaty as. I feel like my hands are a bit shaky.
Yeah.
My feet are sweaty.
Yeah.
My knees feel weak, like my thighs and my knees feel a little bit weak standing. Feel a little bit like that. My jaw feels like it's shaking. Yeah, and I want to pace. I feel like I want to.
You want to walk around.
Yeah.
Get that energy moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm trying to eat, but I'm not feeling hungry. But I also am feeling like really starving, so it's kind of a weird, just such a range of things.
All right, we'll check back in later.
We'll see. Let's see.
So you can see prior to the jump, preparing for it, as Ryan said, he had a lot of different emotions as he interpreted them going through his body, and they were associated with different physiological responses. He talked about sweaty palms, sweaty feet. He talked about feeling weak at the knees and in the thighs, and this, if you know a little bit about physiological responses and Qigong and Chinese medicine, you'll know that's a classic example for fear, as is the trembling feelings that he felt and things like that. Interesting as well, he mentioned about, well, feeling of frustration, and also that he had the desire to pace. And that's a really good instinct, because I guess a couple of things I'd like to get across in this vlog. So one is the idea that an emotion is not something that is just in your mind. Just an emotion is not a thought. An emotion is an interpretation of the real physical responses that we have in response to, and again it's our interpretation of what's happening around us. And so as he was preparing for something that potentially could be very dangerous, his body was releasing lots of adrenaline. It was also releasing other hormones to try and help him to cope with that, to help him to be able to deal with that if there did end up being some kind of danger associated with it. And so all that energy is going around in his body, and he said it made him want to pace. That's a really healthy thing, to move your body to stop it from getting stuck and to get it coming out. So he had a whole mix of different things going on, some really clearly related to fear, as you might expect, but as he also interpreted it, because he was doing this willingly, it wasn't something he was scared of as such, excitement as part of that as well as a mix of other things. And that's the thing with emotions, often they can be a complex mix of different things. So I also had a chance to talk to Ryan after the jump, so we'll have a look at that now. All right. So this is after the jump.
Yep, after the jump. It was amazing. It was friggin' amazing.
How did you feel while you were jumping?
While I was jumping was not nearly as scary as I thought it would be. Not nearly as scary. It was a hell of a lot of fun. It was just really, really enjoyable. There's a lot of wind. It was really loud. It seemed like you were going really fast, but it didn't feel like it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Just awesome.
And how do you feel now that it's over, now that you're on the ground?
Ecstatic, like really, really happy. Really glad that I did it. Extremely glad that I've done that. I'd do it again as well. I'd definitely do it again. And as I was just saying before, I think if I could go back and tell myself how I'm feeling now, and that it's nowhere near as scary.
Would you have believed yourself?
No, I think it would have been. I think I still would have been taking that advice with a grain of salt. But that's the reality. Having now done it, I'd do it again right away. And I think the next time round, I wouldn't be fearful of it, and I'd probably experience it a lot more. I'd be a lot more aware of the situation. Yeah. And your body, how do you feel now? Now that's all over. Good. Happy, like really happy, like my face is a bit tingly and
little tingles,
tingles on my face and my hands. Really happy, like I was just sort of laughing for no reason as we were landing, just because it was awesome.
Cool, man.
Yeah, awesome, very, very cool.
So not as much detail there after the jump, but still some really good things. He talked about just feeling really happy. And just wanting to laugh for no reason. Of course, laughter, the ah sound, is a natural sound that relates to happiness, and that sort of happiness, that joy, in terms of the cycle of our emotions, is very much about the release of energy from built-up emotional energy, and then as well as that, he talked about the tingling in his face and his body, which again, the energy builds up. And then that tingling comes with the release of the energy that's been built up. So some classic examples of some of the physical aspects of those emotions. I guess I don't think I said before. The other thing, so one thing to understand that I want to get through in this vlog is to understand that emotion is not just a thought, it's a complex interaction between our mind and our body. And the other is that we do have the ability to direct and control our emotions, or it's not so much control as in restrict, but direct what happens with the energy. And this comes in our interpretation of what's happening. So I guess I'll talk a little bit about my experience with the jump as well, because of course I was jumping too, and you can see from some of the shots in the video, it was pretty cool. I really enjoyed it. Definitely a blast. I didn't really feel so nervous before the jump though, and that is, I don't know, maybe I've done enough dangerous things over my lifetime, or certainly I've dealt with enough fears and things that it takes a lot to get me too worked up in that sense. But in the actual experience, wow, a lot of stuff all moving around, definitely, and at the end I had that same tingling feeling, that sense of release after the experience of the jump. A few things that also went with that. coming down, one physical thing that I felt was I actually got quite a lot of nausea. So, and it's, I guess it's useful to distinguish what is purely physically driven and what is related to our mental interpretation of things as well, because the nausea wasn't, so nausea relating to the stomach, sometimes the liver, but definitely normally would be associated with the emotion of worry. Wasn't really worried. It was when we did some quite big fast spins on purpose in the parachute, and that got my stomach moving, and I got some nausea from that. One of the other guys I jumped with also experienced some of that, so much so that he threw up. Then what else can we take out of this in a Qigong perspective? So something else that was interesting actually, so one of the jumping instructors, he was talking to some of the guys before he jumped, and he was saying, hey look, would you still do this if it wasn't something that, you know, was stressful and made you nervous? And the guys were thinking about, and one of them said, well, not at this price, because it is quite expensive. Maybe you'd still do it, but we wouldn't pay so much for it. And the instructor was saying, yeah, well, you know, a big part of what people get out of it is the stress, the tension of it. We think of that often in a negative way, but this is a good example of how that can be a positive thing. It creates excitement, you know, the fact that it's so different, that we might have some natural hesitancy to it, creates all this activity in our body, which really gives us a burst of energy as part of that, which can be very enjoyable. Also, certainly with practice, we can choose how we interpret those emotions, whether we interpret them as fear or excitement. It's the same reason why some people like watching horror movies. You know, they get scared, they know it's not real though, but it stimulates all the hormones in them, gets that burst of energy, and you know, it really makes them feel good overall. I guess something else relating to this is something that one of the staff said in the safety briefing actually. And they said that it was to do with breathing. They're saying, look, you need to, you know, breathe slow and deep so you get enough oxygen, all that sort of thing. And they said, look, if, you know, when you're jumping, if you find that you're having a hard time breathing, just scream. Just scream and you'll be able to breathe. And I thought that was really good advice. And this is something that we actually use in Qigong practice as well, is that we use sound sometimes as a way to clear blocked energy, because if someone gets so stimulated emotionally, and that means physically as well by what's happening, it can cause you to seize up, to block that energy. And sound can be a really good way to get your energy vibrating, get it releasing, so that it can get back into motion and you can get your breath again. So I thought that was some pretty good insights from some skydiving instructors. So anyway, like I said, a little bit of a different vlog today. You might have wondered at the beginning, what does skydiving have to do with Qigong? Well, there are connections. There's things we can learn from it, and we can look at our insights that we gain from Qigong and apply it to this situation. I guess also, so I mentioned in Qigong that we do use sound as a way to release energy. There is actually on the Long White Cloud Qigong website, there's a little mini course. It's a free mini course that you can get if you when you sign up to the email newsletter, about using different sounds to release different emotions. So that might be something interesting for you to look at as well. Okay, well, hopefully you enjoyed that one. If you liked this vlog, please do like it, and maybe comment, maybe share it, maybe subscribe, things like that. I do want to grow the channel and share interesting things about Qigong with people. So I look forward to seeing you on the next one.